kind of relationship with the plant, talking to the plant. And have you noticed when you grow your plants at home, talking to them, singing to them? So just checking it out. And the next thing I love to do is I start talking to the plant. I ask this one question: who are you? Who are you? And I just ask that question over and over, like, can you tell me about yourself? So, and how are you doing? And just this friendly approach. And the plant actually, on several occasions, has told me, I'm great, but don't eat me. You know, like, you don't want to go there. And it does, and it's also happened to me in other ways. So our intuition, so-called intuition, it can actually be communication. When we get really humble, when we get really open, then the plants will actually talk to us. Now, if we're like, I don't really believe that, I wouldn't experiment. If the plant is telling you, don't eat me, believe it. I've had plants tell me, don't pick me. I've gone to pick a plant, and I see this incredible fruit, sometimes fruits that I know and love. And one time recently, it happened that there was a fruit that I wanted to pick, and I went up to pick it, and then this fruit is telling me, don't pick me. I'm like, but I really want to pick you. And the fruit's going, nuh-uh, don't pick me. And so I said, okay, and I was almost reaching there, so I climbed down, and I climbed down kind of quickly, because I was kind of upset with the fruit that was telling me don't eat me. It was like really weird. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I climbed down really quickly, and then boom, this huge branch fell down right next to me. And if I had picked that plant, it would have totally knocked me on the head. So it's just, you just never know what plants are trying to tell you when they're saying, don't pick me.
Yeah.
So then after you go through that, and if you get the yes signal, or, just proceed with caution, and then what you can do is rub that plant in a sensitive area. So I'd rub that on, because what if it happens to be like poison oak, right? What if the plant is like having a friendly day and it's saying to me, yay, we like you. And actually it's being the trickster, because they have personalities and they have sense of humors. I notice plants are just like people. You've got all personalities with plants. And they'll have, they're humorous, they're serious, they're in great moods, they're jealous, they're all, everything, just like us. Everything is everything. So you just don't know what their mood is in that moment. So rub that here. I like to rub it here, different areas that would be even the palm, and then wait. Oh, and between all, and so once you get to this point, then you start getting to the point of the hammock. And the hammock is my office, because the hammock lets us really get into that cloud form. It lets us really relax like nothing else. Because if you're sitting up, the blood might not all be flowing to your head enough. You might be a little tired. So this way, you start rubbing, and then you wait up to half an hour and see, is a rash going to form? And just see, how does it feel? Like, okay, we have blood right beneath these different areas. How is the blood picking that up? And how is it changing? Then the next thing that I do is put that plant, a tiny amount of it, as small as you can, on the tip of your tongue. And just keep that on the tip of your tongue, swish around some saliva, and see what happens. And again, you want to wait for half an hour and see if it's like, there's psychedelics, there's all kinds of things that are out there. And one time, for example, I was doing this, and I was out there as a scuba diving person with this group of researchers, and we were living in the middle of nowhere on an island in Thailand, and we ended up camping, and I was doing my hammock thing an hour a day, and I said, my goodness, I just found a plant that has like the attributes that might be between, I've only taken like hallucinogenics like a couple times in my life. But I said, I think it's maybe something like between marijuana and ecstasy. And everybody's like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And before then, all these marine biologists were completely thinking I was nuts and not interested. And then I decided not to tell them, because it was right beneath our picnic table, and nobody knew it. And I thought I couldn't find it anywhere else but within 3 feet of our picnic table, anywhere in the forest. And I thought, they're going to start eating all of it. And then there won't be any left, and this plant will be gone, this whole species. I never had it again, but they never knew that, And then they were always like talking about how it feels really high and really good to be in this place. And so the next is to eat a larger amount, and then, progressively a larger amount. But I would do that over a period of 48 hours. and just really take it easy on that, because you never know what the toxic dose is. We all know that certain things are herbs and certain things are vegetables, and the only difference for me is really the amount that you can ingest. So herbs are medicinal, to be respected, so you won't know if that's a medicinal. And also you might pick up when you take it, you might say, oh my goodness, the liver problem I had, or my vision is suddenly much better. So you will discover herbs as you go, right? And this is how they do it. And so it's really exciting to get in touch with this. And I wish to tell you a little bit. So basically it's, most of you wrote that down, but the last step is to eat larger and larger amounts. Now the reason why I know you can wait 48 hours is because I just did a 2-day fast. And here's another tip for 50% of us anyway, or people who are friends with the other 50%. And that is, whenever I menstruate, which I just started like 2 days ago, I try to fast for 24 to 48 hours. And I also like to fast at the Ekadashi, and that is the full moon and the new moon. You might have heard of that. So a lot of people like Gandhi, he used to fast like every Monday. And I used to fast every Friday, right before the farmer's market that I used to work at. But what I noticed is that sometimes I would really struggle. This is like 20 years ago, and I just couldn't fast, and then I would like punish myself and say, if you don't fast on Friday, you also have to fast on Saturday. You know, all day during the farmer's market, no samples, you just give out the food and just eat it, because you're trying to be. So for about 2 years I had this fasting program every Friday, and about 30% of the time it was also on Saturday. And then I discovered this Ekadashi, this new moon, full moon, that we are actually, here we are at the ocean, so this is a really great time to get in touch with it. We actually are oceanic, and inside of our being we have an oceanic system, and we are completely in tune with the whole planet and the entire ocean, which is 2/3 of our planet. So that means that being beings of water, we're like little drops of the ocean. Like, I think the ocean thinks that it's the mother of us. I really do. And I think the ocean feels like we are these little walking drops, and that we'll come back to mama sometimes. And so basically the ocean is communicating with us through the water in our body and through the moon. And so when the moon does this full moon, it's its relationship with the earth and the ocean. And our tides inside of us rise. And when your tides rise, you basically are expanding. So I invite you to notice that every full moon and every new moon, you feel more bloated. And so if a woman is menstruating on the new moon and full moon, as you know most women do, usually like go back to around the new moon or the full moon time, that's also in conjunction with this bloating of the ocean. The tides are always higher at the new moon and the full moon. They're also always lower. So what does that mean? That's why we have our emotional extremes. That's why people become lunatics, because they get very high and they get very low. And they're just like, they're not as balanced. So the Indians, East Indians from India, thousands of years ago, figured this out by watching these cycles, and I'm sure other Native Americans did too, but they mastered it. And they realized that to prevent the rising tide, if they fast, doing a dry fast for 24 hours, 4 days before the full moon and 4 days before the new moon, then that will prevent this bloating to occur and this uncomfortableness. And I know men get it too, right? Men get that feeling like, gosh, I just should fast. I really should fast. And you'll notice that you have that feeling between 4 days before and the new moon. And so if you fast and 4 days before and the full moon. So if you fast 4 days before and you fast on the new moon, and you fast 4 days before the full moon, and on the full moon, then you're fasting 4 days per lunar month. It's a slightly different configuration than every Monday, but it still really works. And so that way you never feel that, that just, I'm carrying too much weight. And basically a lot of us are drinking a lot of water, like we should be, but we're not getting enough salt in our body, we're having too much sugar in our body, so we still feel dehydrated. Or we feel ravenously hungry because the parasites love the sugar that's in our water, that's in our fruit drinks and in our vegetable juices that are too sweet, like with carrot juice. So anyway, what I try to do is tie that in with the menstrual cycle. So I didn't drink for 42 hours, and I didn't even feel thirsty. Now I had drunk a lot before then, before I got on the plane a couple days ago. But it was just really interesting that it didn't affect me adversely. So if you can experiment with even just during your